While some aspects of our solar system are well established and taught consistently throughout schools and universities alike, there are, of course, many things that are not known about our patch of space. For example, let's take the Oort cloud, the outermost region of our space, and the zone in which the sun's gravitational influence finally reaches an end. This diagram shows how the sun, including the entire size of the outermost planetary orbit, which is Neptune, would be situated in this sphere, which in this model is roughly 100,000 AU across. However, even though the existence and the general form of the Oort cloud is a standard subject in the established view of our solar system, it is, in fact, a hypothetical model drawn from all available data. In other words, we don't fully know the Oort cloud situation. I state this merely to illustrate that such an immense aspect of our solar system is yet an unknown depth of unanswered questions. Having said that, I must add that while there is a lot unknown about the Oort cloud, there is also a great deal that we do know. We'll talk more about the Oort cloud later, but the question I'd like to bring forward here is, do we have an additional major celestial body in our solar system that is not commonly known among the general population? And the answer is yes. And of course, I'm referring to Planet X and the Nemesis system, in which case we have not only one major additional celestial body, which is a brown dwarf gas giant type of thing, but also the planets orbiting that dwarf star, the Nemesis system. The statement I've said just there immediately throws us into a problematic and complicated spot, because this aspect of the solar system presents a number of egregious contradictions against what we were taught in school and what we were told in the news across television, radio, and newspapers. One thing that would help cut through the fog of these opposing sides would be if we could see these supposed Nemesis system planets. And the stunning announcement here is, we can see them. And a lot of the time when the specific spherical body of the object is obscured from view, well, there are other incredible anomalous effects going on that are caused by various aspects of the Nemesis system. This picture presents a typical demonstration of the anomalies I'm talking about. Mexico City, July 2nd, 2020, and the time is 6:48 in the morning. So, what's the anomaly in this picture? Frankly, there's a few things, but the item we'll notice here is this light. In the time display, we see it's about 12 minutes before 7. Thus, we naturally accept this light as being the morning sun. But look what happens when we advance about 10 minutes further. And of course, this is the sun, just coming over the horizon. So, what is this light up here then? Of course, we could talk further about this picture and this situation, but the main thing I'm saying at the moment is that here we have a brilliant demonstration of anomalies that are occurring. Unbelievable as it is, we're living in a time when you no longer need a telescope to see planetary objects of the destroyer arm of the solar system. Here's a few random brief examples. June 16th, 2018. According to all we know in astrophysics and earth sciences, it's frankly impossible to have additional planets like that in our solar system. So in the framework of our established knowledge, it's just plain ludicrous to think those are planets. But here's the twist. They are. Here's a few different examples. The details pointed out in these still images have the appearance of being a spherical object, as in a planet. However, appearances like this can of course occur from unimportant coincidental things. So, a crucial edge toward having a more reliable assessment is to have video coverage of the event. Motion footage enables us to observe the evolution of a detail such as this. Thus, it's relevant to confirm that all of the still images being shown here are from video footage of the events. Indeed, the motion footage of this event is shown in my video titled Planet X in View number 9. I'll play a clip from that episode here. Good morning. We're looking at sunrise from Xcaret Hotel in Mexico. With regard to the subject of Planet X, there's a few things here that I find compelling. The question that confronts us now is that a celestial body, a big planet? Or is it just a coincidental appearance of cloud or mist or some other effect? In fact, there are multiple celestial bodies in this transitory event. As we proceed to assess the site of this with the intent of understanding it correctly, perhaps it's useful to look at a couple photographs in which there is a planetary body, thus giving us a point of reference on what it can look like. Here we have the Moon, as seen from the upper boundary of the troposphere. And again here. Considering this picture, in which we know that the object is a celestial body, in comparison with similar features in the Xcaret webcam footage from the morning of June 3rd, 2019. So here's the larger one that we've delineated already, and a smaller body transiting in front of it. Next example, Cancun, July 10th, 2020. December 16th, 2018. January 27th, 2021. June 26th. This is at Acapulco Marina, Mexico. And on the same evening, but at a different location in Mexico, we have this. I mentioned earlier that these still images are from video footage, In those files, we're able to observe the evolution of this bright object, from before it is visible and how it comes into view, and on through to where it goes out of view. Highly valuable in getting a correct assessment of what we are seeing here. I've posted the footage from both of these events in my video titled Planet X Nibiru 2017 Acapulco and Colima Video Capture. We turn now to another recent sky event that demonstrates there is something major and extraordinary in our solar system at this time. Acapulco, Mexico, El Morro Beach. The date is April 22nd, 2022, about 6:35 in the morning. To fully grasp what occurs here, we need to be clear on a few details. The direction we're facing is south, and sunrise does not occur in this field of view. We're approaching 7 a.m. and on through a few minutes after 7, which is where a more perplexing situation comes into view. With the position of sunrise in the east being outside of our view range, what is this prodigious and active light in the south direction? Another detail of importance is at what time does sunrise occur here? Looking it up on the chart, sunrise for this date and location is 7:19. Thus, any light that's going on right here is like 15 minutes before the sun has even peaked over the morning horizon. So, with this light up in the south, and with the sunrise not due for another 15 minutes, one question that could be raised is, at what point does it sink in to our cognitive awareness that something awesome and foreboding is in front of our eyes right here? And a question right with that is, how is it that in a time with television, newspapers, radio, the internet, etc., that in all the constant news broadcasted everywhere, we get events like somebody slapped somebody at a big social event, and that incident reverberates across everything for a few days or more. But an anomaly such as documented here just somehow seems like it cannot be assimilated into our awareness, it seems. At this point, the visible size area of the light has diminished, but the pulsing or flashes of light continue to emanate from that area. If we take a moment to consider what's occurring here, well, for me, my response is cluttered with being a little bit baffled, and I might say something like, "What?" I mean, seriously, think about it. What could be causing surges like that? Further weight is added to the anomalous riddle of this event as we approach the time of about 7:30 a.m., because the visible intensity and concentrated central object of this has become impressive, to put it mildly. at this point, with such a well-defined, profound body of light in the south direction morning sky, it's pertinent to know where the sun is situated. And as we noted already, it's over to the left, beyond our view. In other words, this bright thing is not the sun. Coming back to the statement I gave earlier, one factor that seriously complicates this study is that this aspect of the solar system is kept out of the public knowledge by the controlling bodies. This is a difficult proposition to manage because in order to give this point any genuine consideration, we have to face the theory that there's a powerful elite class of people who can control the information that does or does not come to public knowledge. Now, I have no wish to go into this subject, but I also must mention it here, as it is a pertinent factor in discerning the paradox we have in these two conflicting situations. Situation number one. There is persuasive evidence and information affirming that Planet X, the same as Nibiru, the Destroyer, Herculaneum, etc., is real and present. The conflicting situation is powerful agencies, such as NASA and others, have the inside view of this situation, which at the same time is vigorously withheld from the major part of those organizations. So only certain people in the higher echelon actually know everything. But the whole Planet X Nemesis situation and the evidence of it is being rigorously withheld and hidden from the general population. And so in that context, we have the basis for the assertion that NASA, with all its extraordinary resources and facilities, knows full well about the Planet X Nemesis proximity in our solar system. Yet the decisions and mandates were set in place decades ago to hide it, deny it, and whatever it takes to keep this from being public knowledge. One approach to cut through the fog is to simplify things. Set aside the tons of maybes and might be, could be, etc., and just take notice of what we can know for sure. And as I've shown in previous videos, there's a tremendous amount of evidence and even proof that there is something major going on with our solar system. And again, the major thing going on is the return of Planet X and the Nemesis system to the inner quarter of the solar system. Moreover, the presence of a dwarf star at the heart of the Nemesis system reopens the argument that the Sun may have a binary companion after all. We'll pursue that study in the next video. We'll now look at a few reports and media releases that carry information of profound interest. Here's an article from space.com, and from the title onward, there are some highly interesting details. Study suggests Sun's nemesis pelted Earth with comets. A dark object may be lurking near our solar system. Nicknamed Nemesis, this undetected object could be a red or brown dwarf star. So this article from March 2010 is talking about an additional celestial body that is understood by some researchers to be a binary companion to the Sun. We can also consider this to be a counterpart of sorts. This illustration gives a size comparison between this dwarf star and Earth. Also illustrated is that this presumed additional celestial body is at least larger than Jupiter. Back in 2011, there was some media interest in NASA's Wide Field Infrared Survey of the Heavens, acronym WISE. This article we've been looking at springs from the WISE mission and its findings. Around that time, there was also a report on CNN that is rather thought-provoking.
You to vote on the news, and here's the winner. There's a huge, hidden, heavenly body right here in our solar system. Evidence is mounting that either a brown dwarf star or a gas giant planet is lurking at the outermost reaches of our solar system, far beyond the planet Pluto. According to the British newspaper The Independent, the object is 4 times the size of Jupiter. Experts say the presence of such a massive object could explain why a barrage of comets has been coming from that direction.
You may have seen that clip before, and indeed I've shown it in a couple previous videos, but it's useful to refresh our memory of the event of CNN airing this news burst. Of course, CNN normally is not allowed to reveal the actual situation, but this little report, for whatever reason, was aired. The visual quality of this clip is not too good, and I presume that somebody filmed it off the front of a TV screen using their cell phone. Aside from that hero who grabbed a screen recording of it, there has not been a direct copy or archive of it available anywhere, at least anywhere that I know of. Now, before moving on, notice the headline here. Huge hidden object in space. Dwarf star or planet found in our solar system. For our discussion going forward, we'll need to know what WISE is. A space telescope known as Wide Field Infrared Survey Explorer. In 2010, when this article came out, NASA's WISE mission was still in full swing, scanning the complete view of space from Earth orbit. NASA's Wide Field Infrared Survey Explorer, or WISE, will uncover many failed stars or brown dwarfs in infrared light. About a year later, in 2011, we had this report come out in the Daily Mail newspaper. Largest planet in the solar system could be about to be discovered, and it's up to 4 times the size of Jupiter. I mentioned earlier the situation of secrecy and cover-up that obscures our view of this subject. And in a flow with that, this article from the Daily Mail manages to trigger the feeling that somehow some things just don't seem to add up, as if the truth about something major is being leaked, while at the same time there is significant info being concealed and withheld. I mean, what's with that wording? Largest planet in the solar system could be about to be discovered. And so, this incredible object, for which they have a specific idea of its size, its general location, the type of celestial body, i.e. a brown dwarf, and they give a name for it, Tyche. But also, according to the headline, this object is only a maybe, a could be about to be discovered kind of thing. To me, that just doesn't sit right. At any rate, let's read further. Scientists believe they may have found a new planet in the far reaches of the solar system, up to 4 times the mass of Jupiter. What an incredible statement to appear in a mainstream news carrier. Data which could prove the existence of Tyche, a gas giant in the outer Oort cloud, is set to be released later this year, although some believe proof has already been garnered by NASA with its PACE telescope and the WISE survey, etc. At this point, we'll benefit from having a more detailed overview of the WISE mission conducted by NASA. WISE was launched from Vandenberg Air Force Base in California on December 14, 2009. By early 2011, it had finished scanning the entire sky twice in infrared light, snapping pictures of about 750 million objects, including remote galaxies, stars, and asteroids. Today, astronomers continue to glean a lot of valuable data provided by WISE. Upon completing its surveys in 2011, the orbiting spacecraft WISE was put to sleep or put into hibernation. But in September 2013, NASA reactivated the mission with the primary goal of scanning for near-Earth objects, or NEOs. Reading further in this official public statement from NASA, they provide a kind of bullet point list of a few prominent achievements made by the WISE Space Survey. Let's read these first 4 items. WISE discoveries include imaging the most luminous galaxy in the universe. Second item, helping to largely rule out the theory of a Planet X orbiting in the far reaches of the solar system. Item number 3, WISE was helpful in uncovering millions of hidden black holes. And number 4, discovering the coolest class of stars. Okay, we have 4 rather random and unassociated items. But notice number 2. One of the great achievements by WISE is it's helped to largely rule out the theory of a Planet X orbiting in the far reaches of our solar system. It's clear in item number 2 there that a dismissive position has been set forth as an official view from the NASA administration. The official stance on this from the illustrious NASA is that there is no Nibiru, no Planet X, and that the whole thing is just a big internet hoax. At least that was the statement put out by Dr. David Morrison in 2011.
Hi, my name is David Morrison. I'm a space scientist at NASA Ames Research Center. For the last 2 years, I've been answering hundreds of questions from the public about 2012 and the supposed threat to Earth. And so now I want to take a chance to talk to some of you more directly. There is no threat to Earth in 2012. There is no danger. All of the talk about a doomsday is a big hoax perpetuated on the internet and with people trying to make money. So please don't worry about it. Let me talk about some of the specific things. There's been a lot of talk about a Planet X or Nibiru as a giant planet that's going to hit the Earth or at least come very close in December 2012. Simple fact is Nibiru does not exist. Aside from worrying about the weird places the ideas came from, all you have to do is ask the astronomers. If Nibiru or Planet X were going to come into the inner solar system in 2012, astronomers would have been tracking it for the last decade, all over the world, amateur as well as professional, and it would be visible now to the naked eye. It's not there. It's a no-show. There's nothing to worry about some object coming and striking the Earth.
Okay, so it's quite clear there, on the authority of NASA space scientist David Morrison, that Nibiru, or Planet X, doesn't exist. At least the version of Nibiru that was being hyped up back in 2011, and all the scaremongering along with it, leading up to the December 2012 apocalypse that never happened, that Nibiru was in fact a no-show. David Morrison was quite right. So the urgent question here is, where does that leave somebody like me, whose documentary videos are supposedly showing facts and evidence that this planetary entity is in fact real and imminent? So again, where does David Morrison's discussion leave us in this study? To have a more qualified perspective from which to answer that, let's glance at his achievements and credentials. David Morrison, astrophysicist, a senior scientist at the Solar System Exploration Research Institute at NASA Research Center. He is the past director of space at NASA Ames, and Morrison is credited as a founder of the multidisciplinary field of astrobiology. Morrison is best known for his work in risk assessment of near-Earth objects such as asteroids and comets. In fact, asteroid 2410 Morrison was named in his honor. He has published 12 books and over 150 papers, primarily on planetary science, astrobiology, and near-Earth objects. And prior to those illustrious achievements and career positions, he studied astronomy at Harvard University and received his Ph.D. in 1969. What an impressive career of study and works in the field of space sciences. Moreover, a lot of Dr. Morrison's specialized work deals specifically with the solar system and the search for rogue items such as asteroids, comets, and everything else that can be discovered in our solar system. The point being, if there is anybody that would hold official info and top-level knowledge regarding what's in our solar system, David Morrison must certainly be of that standing. Now, at first glance, this presents a problem, because on one hand, we have numerous observations, evidence, and historical data affirming that the Planet X Nibiru Nemesis system is real and present. But on the other hand, we have a well-established authority, David Morrison, who informs us clearly that that whole story is a delusion. There is a solution to this conflict. This will become clearer as we proceed. On occasion, I've stated that sufficient data and evidence exists to show that there is something extraordinary going on in our solar system. Let's look at a few more examples of this. Guadalajara, Mexico, May 10th, 2021, 7:30 in the evening. The direction we're facing is east, so in the morning from this view we'll see the sunrise. Thus also, if we watch from this view in the evening to see the sunset, well, we'll miss the entire thing, because sunset does not occur on that horizon. Pardon me for stating the obvious there, and the reason I emphasize that detail is because about 20 minutes forward in this webcam recording, we have this. So, how can there be a light such as this in the evening east sky? Again, we have this odd surging in the light. We've been observing this same phenomena for over 4 years now. Let's just watch for a minute. Moving to a different event, the date is 24th of July, 2021. And as you can see, this is the same location where we've been observing already. On this occasion, the light in the sky appears even more bright and intense than what we observed in the May 10th footage. However, while the May 10th event occurred in the late evening, after 8 p.m., this one is in the morning. We're looking at the east horizon, about 7:15, and this is where we would see the sunrise. So, should we presume that that light is just the sun? Well, you still have the problem of the enormous pulsing activity. I mean, this is the kind of thing you read fragments of in the historical legends and myths of the world. Let's back up the footage and view things from the start of this day. So here we are at about 10 past 6 in the morning, and I'd like to point out this area. Notice if there are any light rays or spots of light showing through. And the answer is no, there aren't at the moment. Jumping forward about 15 minutes, we can see the beginnings of those light spots I mentioned. We're coming up on 7 a.m. here, and this light that's shining through the clouds has become stronger and more definite now. So, naturally, we could assume that it's just the light that comes with a normal sunrise. But we'll continue observation because I can tell you ahead of time, this is no normal sunrise. Now, we have to pause again here to acknowledge a few questions, like, what's going on here? This large, powerfully illuminated area, pulsing out there, started becoming visible with this. And that became this. Raising the question, what is that light coming from? Well, the first innocent guess would be, it's the morning sunrise, isn't it? Well, let's check to see the precise time for sunrise at this date and location. Guadalajara, Mexico, 2021. July 24th, and sunrise is at 7:25. The view we have here at the moment is at the time of 7:15 a.m., 10 minutes before the sun will even peek over the horizon. Yet there's this major light already up there. We now realize that this light in the morning sky is occurring before the sun has even come up from below the horizon. When this cam footage rolls up to the actual time point for sunrise, we won't see the first glimpse of the sun right at 7:25 because there's a mountain range out there on the horizon. So give a couple minutes for the sun to rise above the terrain, and then we'll be looking at one big twisted riddle. And here it is, the sun. I'm telling you, it just doesn't look right to me. But seriously, what would be the answer for this odd situation, where we have this major light up here, while the morning sun is rising there? To grasp this better, let's track backward a little to observe what this area of light does in relation to the location of the sun. We've backed up here to about 5 minutes before the sun gleams over the horizon. Notice the cycle of swelling followed by an abrupt drop in the light. So at 7:30, the sun has just cleared the horizon. Having noted this time point, let's go back one last time to review the footage with the added perspective that the illuminated sky we're seeing is all happening while the sun is still below the horizon. Over the next few minutes, this light in the sky seems quite busy with pulsing and moving, etc. Notice also this central island here in the middle of the roadways. The flat circular area is a pool of water, so at this point I draw attention to the water surface and how it looks. We'll refer to that in a minute. Rolling forward now, this surging and dropping action of the light continues, and with that, the sun is still below the horizon for another 15 minutes. Now we see the whole light area has moved laterally to the left. And thus, the illuminated sky is now reflected in the fountain pool down below. This serves to establish, in further clarity, that this anomalous light is not just a mirage effect in the webcam lens. We must remember, even just that light sitting there is a major anomaly. What is it? And we arrive again to where the sun breaks above the horizon. And so one question I must raise is, are we capable, mentally capable, of realizing the conflict of what we've seen here, the anomaly that we've just reviewed? And frankly, I think perhaps not. Even myself. I mean, I'm the one who's firsthand gathered this information, and it somehow doesn't even sink in for me. Nevertheless, the point is, we've got extraordinary things unfolding in the solar system due to the arrival and proximity of the Planet X system. Now, the video footage from this date and location, the 24th of July, 2021, has got some more impressive surprises to be highlighted. But first, I'd like to address a detail that I've already mentioned a few times in previous documentaries. I'm referring to the date of this event, which is from nearly a year ago, and soon it'll be from over a year ago. It's a valid concern to ask, isn't this footage just out of date? Does it actually matter that these anomalies ever took place, now that a whole year has gone by and nothing more spectacular or earth-shattering has happened? Indeed, when I want to check the news regarding the world and local affairs, usually I'll want to get the most up-to-date information. For example, the weather forecast from 3 months ago is truly out of date and irrelevant in making plans for tomorrow or next week. So, by the same token, what about this footage from Guadalajara last year? Is it of any substantial value to our study? And of course, the answer is absolutely yes. I bring up this article from the Washington Post to illustrate how some types of news can remain of vital interest and relevance regardless of years gone by. Many of the people who have been studying this Planet X issue over the years will have already seen this article from 1983. I first came across this news page about 10 or 12 years ago, and it's worth bringing up again here to have a fresh look. There is profound value in the event of this little burst of info that occurred in the mainstream news back then. Washington Post, December 30th, 1983. Mystery heavenly body discovered. A heavenly body, possibly as large as the giant planet Jupiter, and possibly close enough to Earth that it would be part of this solar system, has been found in the direction of the constellation Orion by the orbiting telescope known as IRAS, I-R-A-S, the Infrared Astronomical Satellite. All I can tell you is that we don't know what it is, said Dr. Jerry Neugebauer. We'll come back to Dr. Jerry and his qualifications in a minute. But first, let's notice a few more details in this Washington Post article. Now, I must clarify that this next paragraph is a hypothetical explanation put forward by the IRAS scientific team. The most fascinating explanation of this mystery body, which is so cold it casts no light and has never been seen by optical telescopes on Earth or in space. It is a giant gaseous planet as large as Jupiter. And the article goes on from there to reiterate that this object is close enough to be considered part of the solar system. This report is still online in the Washington Post website. To broaden our perspective, I'd like to continue looking at this using the web page issue. Also, I'd like to read again a few of the details we've seen already in the newspaper copy. The Washington Post, December 30th, 1983. A heavenly body, possibly as large as the giant planet Jupiter, and possibly so close to Earth that it would be a part of this solar system, has been found in the direction of the constellation Orion by an orbiting telescope aboard the U.S. Infrared Astronomical Satellite. So mysterious is the object that astronomers do not know if it is a planet, a giant comet, a nearby protostar, etc., etc. All I can tell you is that we don't know what it is. Dr. Jerry Neugebauer, IRAS Chief Scientist for California's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Now with this paragraph, I'd like to just extract the key points. This mystery body casts no light and has never been seen by optical telescopes based on Earth or spacecraft telescopes. Furthermore, it is a giant gaseous planet as large as Jupiter and as close to Earth as 50 billion miles. And as we read earlier, Dr. James Houck comments, if it is really that close, it would be part of our solar system. And if it is that close, I don't know how the world's planetary scientists would even begin to classify it. This mystery body was seen twice by the infrared satellite as it scanned the northern sky from last January to November, at which time the satellite ran out of the super-cold helium that allowed its telescope to see the coldest bodies in the heavens. The second observation took place 6 months after the first, and suggested the mystery body had not moved from its spot in the sky near the western edge of the constellation Orion. In this news article, we have significant data and content supporting our inquiry regarding Planet X and the Nemesis system. And for example, the article states that this huge celestial body has been found. And on from there, the article comments on specific aspects of this quote-unquote mystery body, such as location, size, and physical nature, etc. it should be understood that this report appearing in the Washington Post was a genuine disclosure coming from the team of astrophysicists, astronomers, and scientists who conducted the mission of the IRAS Space Telescope. Here's a paper authored by the IRAS science team titled The Infrared Astronomical Satellite Mission. Note the first name in the list of team members, Dr. Jerry Neugebauer, IRAS Chief Scientist for California's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and he was the director of the Palomar Observatory. Also contributing is Dr. James Houck of Cornell University's Center for Radiophysics. Now, we're going to cut off here, as this video is getting rather long, and there is still a lot more information to bring in, so I'll finish that part in the next video. We'll end this episode with another view of the profound event from last April that we looked at.